Apple, it's right up there as the best-known brand in the world. It's fundamentally changed the way a lot of people live, and it's become one of the most successful companies in the world. But marketing expert Michael McQueen says they're shot ducks. The company could be dead in as little as 5 years' time. Say it isn't so.
Well, that's a pretty compelling thought, isn't it? I mean, the idea that this brand that has just redefined entire sectors could go from anything but dominant. But, I mean, history tells us that it happens. I mean, look at Kodak. I mean, that is like the quintessential example. I mean, Kodak were the Apple of the sort of the 60s, the 70s. They were the dominant player, and then they are no more.
Well, Kodak was film, and they didn't see digital coming, and it was too late to react when they did. So, so what is it that Apple's not seeing coming? Well,
the challenge for them is, like, shift has happened for them, but it hasn't been necessarily just new technologies like it was with Kodak and digital coming along. But for them, it's the competition. So look at how Samsung has made a real play, particularly in the smartphone space. So last month, IDC, which is a big technology research company, released figures that showed that Samsung actually has double the market share in smartphones that Apple do for the iPhone, and that's a staggering thought.
On the positive side for Apple, everything they make is beautifully made. Everything they make has a tactile, built quality to it. Why was it the death of Steve Jobs that led you to think that they're going to start declining, or is it some other factor?
Well, he was a key ingredient. If you look at Apple's trajectory over time, their rise and fall and rise again, he was really the key part of it. But you look at who's in charge now at Apple, and you've sort of got Tim Cook. He was the guy that was the behind-the-scenes distribution channel guy for Apple, and now he's running the show. But you've got Jonathan Ive, who was Steve Jobs' right-hand man. But in a sense, Jonathan Ive is the hardware guy. What Apple really needs to address is the software stuff, particularly in their smartphones. And when you look at the interface that iPhone uses for mail and any of their browsing stuff, it hasn't fundamentally changed look and feel, usage since about 2007 when the iPhone was released.
Apple had a period where it was super cool. You know, it was the cool thing for all the cool people. Now it's kind of mainstream, but that didn't hurt Coca-Cola. They've stayed mainstream and cool and relevant. Why can't Apple catch up and do it again?
Well, certainly Coke have done it well, but see other brands like Billabong, for instance, that didn't do that as well. They moved away from their core market. They became so mainstream, they actually lost their core market. And I think that's probably the challenge for Apple, is that there's been this subtle shift potentially in the last 12 months, and we'll see it increasingly, where Apple is no longer the cool youth brand. So I don't know if you saw that Samsung ad where you had the parents lining up to get the new iPhone, and their son walked past and he had a Samsung. Very clever. Just sows the seed of, is walking around with the white earbuds and the listening to an iDevice as cool as it was 12 or 18 months ago.
Samsung's the new cool, is that what you're saying?
Samsung are doing some very, very clever stuff, but they're not the only ones. Sony have got a cool smartphone coming through. Nokia are making a big comeback. I mean, BlackBerry could have done some things, but I mean, BlackBerry is another example of a brand that was at the peak, and I mean, they had 43% market share in the States 3 years ago. Today it's 5%. So
up until a couple of years ago, I was on the BlackBerry. I've just moved to iPhone. Now you're telling me I'm going to have to think about Samsung. It's getting very confusing, Michael, but winning the battle for relevance. Very, very cool book.
Cool.
Thank you very much for that. Layla.